When I had my advanced level, my dream was to do engineering. And while in school, when we are being taught how to write programs, website, at that early stage, first year, when I go home, I will go to YouTube, how to develop an app, how to develop a logo, design websites with WordPress. Developing Android apps is a course for level 400, but as a level 200 student first year, at my free time, I will study this, download Android Studio, the environment, and test and all of this.
Let's dig a little deeper into the Cameroon GC guide app that you developed.
I went to a boarding school, and back then we could only have resources from libraries. What happens now as a student in a day school, you want to study at home? I can say today, so far, over 40,000 students have made use of these solutions. So the goal was to develop a platform where students can still find resources to study.
Felix, I have a problem. I've been hacked. What does that process look like for you?
I usually advise people that it's possible that you were hacked, yes, but it's possible that we can recover your stuff.
One of the most popular you worked on was Ade Divine, which everybody talked about a couple of weeks back.
Usually it's common. The hack happens from one of the admin. If I'm admin to your page and then my account is taken down, automatically they have access to your page. It took close to a month because at some point we were in contact with Facebook. At some point it was me with my skills and trying to regain access to his account. Dear A-Ray-B.
What's up, my smart friend? Before you jump straight into this episode, there are 3 boxes I'd love you to check while you watch. First things first, please make sure to hit the subscribe or the follow button down below, because the more we grow, the bigger guests we can approach on this platform and the more value we can bring to you here on the podcast. Second, a lot of friends always reach out to me and say something like, "Hey Harry, I really did enjoy this particular segment of this episode." What I want you to do, if you get to a point like that, pick up your phone and send this to a friend and say, "Hey, check this out, between 10 to 15 minutes. There's something very important I'd love you to see." Also, you're going to find the link to join our 21,000 Smart Friends on email, where you're going to receive an email from me once every week. Plus, down below, you're also going to see links to connect with the guest. So please make sure you tick those 3 boxes and enjoy the rest of this episode.
Who would you say Felix is?
Felix is an entrepreneur, an IT person. Yes, I have Bachelor's of Technology in Computer Engineering from University of Boya. I also have Masters of Science in Cybersecurity and Forensics from University of Westminster, which was through the Chevening Scholarship, which I received in 2022. And I've been able to study in the UK for a master's degree in cybersecurity and forensics. Even before UK, I used to do some projects back home, develop applications and websites for organizations. Like in 2018, I did the Cameroon GC Guide app, which is innovative platform to help students find exam resources. And I can say today, so far, over 40,000 students have made use of these solutions, and I've gone further to collaborate with organizations to develop their digital platforms, websites, and recently with my master's now, I'm moving into cybersecurity. I'm able to secure websites, applications, pages for individuals, and helping them recover their data.
Let's dig a little deeper into the Cameroon GC guide app that you developed. What was the initial process of you birthing that idea? How did it start?
So the goal was to develop a platform where students can still find resources to study. I went to a boarding school, and back then we could only have resources from libraries. So what happens now as a student in a day school, you want to study at home. So this was basically my idea, to see how to bring what is only found in libraries to their phones. They can be able to self-study at home. And 2 years later, when COVID came, schools were shut down, students were still able to self-study and prepare for their exam. And yes, I'm really happy that during that time, students were able to take their lessons, and thanks to the application, and they were able to self-study.
And around the success of it, when you were trying to market something like that, how challenging was it?
I think initially, I always tell people that when you do something good, it will market itself. I didn't know. I was still second year into engineering in University of Boya. I didn't know bloggers. I didn't know the media, but I just went online. And I said, okay, I've noticed this problem. I've noticed this problem, and this is a solution. And I published the application, and before I know it, so many people started taking the idea from there. And I remember within a week or two, we already had 1,000 downloads, and that was how everything yeah, everything started from there.
Mm. Today you've had multiple, I would say multiple awards, award-winning techpreneur. If you're now growing, I mean, a bigger career in ethical hacking, and then you've also become a Chevening scholar. And it will intrigue you to know. So I think about early this, before I started the podcast, I sent out a survey form to my audience. I think I got about, if I'm not mistaken, about 500 people or so filled that form.
Yeah, yeah, I followed that post online, and so
Yeah.
many people were
So
like,
when I
yeah, yeah,
went, hey, who is one African who inspires you? And I actually had a couple of people go, Felix Faminga, Felix. And I was like, oh, okay, Felix, really? That's interesting. And I went further. I think one of the things I asked was, what's one thing you would like to ask that particular person? And a lot of people were curious about your journey. And talk to me about those early days of how you, I know that you had also talked about you said one of the best things that ever happened to you was the best decision you ever made was deciding to study for computer
yes,
engineering.
perfect, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So talk to me about that journey. What was it like for you starting and how that evolved right up to where you are right now? Walk us back.
Yes, so before University of Boya, we used to have a laptop, a computer at home, and I also
Mm,
did ICT. So I had introduction into programming, like just the basics. And when I had my advanced level, my dream was to do engineering. I really dreamed to do engineering, and I wrote a concours to FED and CORD. I made entrance into the College of Technology I was admitted. And while in school, when we are being taught how to program, how to write programs, website, I mean, at that early stage, first year, I would notice that when I go home with, 10,000 bundle of data, I will go to YouTube, how to develop an app, how to develop a logo, how to build, design websites with WordPress. I mean, at that early stage, and doing this, I was actually trying a lot of things and learning. I mean, developing Android apps is a course for level 400, but as a level 200 student first year, at my free time, I will study this, download Android Studio, the environment, and test and all of
mm,
this. And I noticed that I was actually learning what was advanced than me. And back in University of Boya College of Technology, there are competitions for innovative competitions that you design projects. And I saw myself, I think the first app I did was a platform where can help teachers take attendance. Yes, and I did that app, took part in that competition. Now I was competing with level 400 students who brought their final year projects. And in the first year, I
mm.
presented that up before the school, institutions, professors. Now, we didn't win an award, but I actually learned a lot how you can have an idea and you notice a problem and you develop a solution, and also how to present my idea, how to pitch my idea. And the following year, I was level two. Now I came up now with the Cameroon GC Guide app, which was a problem which was being faced in the education sector, and went into the same competition. And I emerged winner in the computer engineering department for the best project. I was only level 200 by this time. Like I tell people, when you fail the first time, you come back, pick up yourself, and you come. Even if you fail, there's a lot of things which you have actually learned. And from there, before I knew it, High TV said, come for an interview, and we started having invitations. And just like I said, the app was already gaining ground, visiting schools and all of that. So I think this has been my journey. So many people tell me I've achieved a lot, but I believe that this actually started back while I was in school, and I just had to make use of my monthly internet data that I had. I think 10,000 francs, which is 1 gig daily. I think MCN has a bundle, and just learning by
Mm.
myself. Go to YouTube, learn courses, learn on my own how to manage website with WordPress, developing Android application, and yes, I was actually achieving a lot.
All right. So your story just reminded me back of the days where I remember when I was in the university, just so very similar to you. I started to do blogging in my second year of the university. Actually, blogging in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication in the University of Boya is a final year course, right? So I started to just, I was like, hey, let me just do blogging, let me learn. And the thing came from, I used to volunteer for newspapers, for magazines. And
Yeah.
at some point around the crisis, some of these papers shut down. So my idea is, why don't I take these stories that I was writing for these newspapers and start publishing online? I didn't know how to create a WordPress website, nothing.
Yeah.
Figured out how to do one. I did a free one first. And then I remember one time when I published a story, political story. The first story I actually wrote was about love. Not many people read it, maybe like 50 or something. One time I published something which is social news and 1,000 people read it. And I'm
Wow.
going, really? 1,000 people read this? So I just took about 30 minutes, wrote this thing, 1,000 people have read it. And then that was how I started to publish more social news.
Yeah.
And fast forward to about a year later, and then that was even how I got nominated for the BDMA among the top
Yeah. Yeah.
five
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Yeah. And then the realization for me was like, okay, no, what if I took this professional, right? I went out, saw somebody, and I remember I saw a company called Kilimanjaro, walked up and said, hey, look, I need a website. I want to take this full time. Went into blogging. That was my call into blogging full time.
Yeah.
So I did blogging full time and dropped out that year, although I came back. But the long story short is that by the time I was graduating in 2019, I'd built something that even my course mates, by the time they were
Yeah.
studying
Yeah.
blogging, they were
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
my website
Yeah.
as a
As
case
reference.
study.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then here's the best part of the story. One time, I actually built a platform. One time, the platform had grown so much so that some of my schoolmates started to come for internship within my platform. I was
Wow.
still in school,
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
graduating in
Yeah.
2019, while I
Yeah.
was signing the internship forms of some of my course mates. How cool. I
Yeah.
just sat there. I was like, so you still reminded me of that. And I really
Yeah.
do appreciate it. And then
Yeah,
I
I
must
mean,
say
I,
this
I
as
tell
well.
students that you can achieve a lot while in school. You can achieve a
Yeah.
lot. Don't wait when when you are final year before you want to develop a project. You want to develop. I mean, why at school? Feel that you want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. And I tell people that you can do an innovation that the VC will request an audience with you. So you
Mm.
have to believe in yourself and just try a lot of things, fail as much as possible, and sure you should be learning a lot from that.
Mm. Very true. I used to say that in school, the time when you're in school is the greatest time to fail because you have some little safety nets. You
Yeah.
can run back to your mom, you can run back to
Yeah,
your dad,
yeah,
you can
yeah,
run back to
yeah,
somebody who's
yeah,
taking care of you.
yeah, yeah,
Plus, it's the best place where you gain experience, then you find your feet. So that by the time you're stepping out, and just like, I mean, your journey, my journey, we started this
yeah,
back when we were in
yeah. It's
school.
cool.
By the time you're leaving, you always have a way, you already have a way forward of something you're trying to be. Talk to me about how do you build the connections, the government connections, the places where you're invited to speak, the places where you go and they go, hey, this is Felix, this is him coming, right? Like, how do you build those connections? What does that process look like for you?
Yes, so I think as young leaders, it's very important that we have ourselves online. I always tell people building a responsible profile for yourself. And platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter, we can always use these platforms to create beautiful profiles about ourselves. And yes, if you are good, it's all about networking. So you go to events, try to make yourself known. And even when I was developing Kamonji's Guide, when I go to events, I try to network with teachers, for example, because I need them to get resources for my platform.
Mm,
And by developing your online profiles, I mean, you go to events, you get recognized. And just like I said, it's all about you going to meet these people, mentors, for example, and it's easy to network. You can get their cards, you can get their numbers, and you can keep in touch. Yes, I feel that this is the best approach on how you can actually build relationships. It starts from your work, doing the work, and actually putting the work out there, communicating your work, developing your profiles, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, which are really recommended professional platforms, which I always recommend to young people.
true, very important. And the tip I would say to anyone watching this,
Mhm.
networking is a two-way thing. It's not about you
Yeah,
going to those people
yeah,
and just going,
yeah,
I love what you do, and then you start to bombard them with messages. So when you connect with
yeah,
that person, sometimes if you can't offer value directly, you can look them up and see what they're doing, and you go, hey, sir, I
yeah.
just saw you were doing this. I saw this link. I thought this would be important to you. That's adding value in one way or the other.
And just like I said, LinkedIn is very important because I've had so many contracts from LinkedIn and Twitter. So
Mm.
young people should not minimize this platform. I mean, it's okay to use Facebook, Instagram. I mean, I use all the platforms, and you can feel that my
Mhm.
Facebook is like LinkedIn because I
Mhm.
carry myself professionally on these platforms. But I emphasize that young people should see how you use LinkedIn and Twitter. In fact, I've applied to so many programs, be it in Cameroon and across the world, and you will testify that usually they ask for social media handles, and you see LinkedIn and
Absolutely.
Twitter. And usually they go through these platforms to grade candidates. So it's very important for you that you have, I mean, you have a responsible profile on LinkedIn. Or on LinkedIn, they can see that you attended University of Boya. They can see you once traveled to Ghana for a project. You were in Senegal. You collaborated with MTN and so on. It's really good that you update your profiles with what you actually do.
If I'm trying to build a good and reputable social media for myself so that it brings me these deals or at least places me in a really good position, what do you think should be my starting point to someone watching?
Yes, so I think, in fact, you have to have, I mean, a responsible photo and a good cover photo too. And also, you
Basics.
need
Yeah.
to have a bio. For example, if I should open your profile, am I seeing that you're a medical student, final year medical student, you're aspiring journalist, you are first year into engineering? I mean, a little brief description of what you do as your headline, and it
Mhm.
applies to Twitter, it applies to LinkedIn. This is really important. And always see how you fill up your profile, for example, about information on LinkedIn, education. For example, you had 5 papers from Lycée Moliko, and then UB, you had your degree and maybe master. So see how you fill up all of these spaces on your professional platform, and it applies to all platforms. I think this is how you can actually start. And just like I said, you have a workshop or an activity. See how this is communicated on your platforms,
Mhm. Mhm.
especially the professional platforms, LinkedIn and Twitter, because these are platforms where we have professors, we have mentors, we have professionals, and I mean, through these platforms you can actually sell yourself out to the world.
Let's talk about the content side of things. Somebody posting every single trending thing, somebody posting every single meme, and yet you're trying to use that platform to get some deals. You're trying to use that platform to be reputable. What would you say to those people, and what's a good habit to build from now starting or moving forward?
Yes, I think it's okay to use platforms like Facebook and Instagram for, just like you said, memes. I mean, entertainment. Sometimes I do post such, but your professional platforms as a blogger is serving like a CV. You have Twitter, you have LinkedIn. You will not see the really. I mean, I've had the opportunity to go into the academic world and professional world, like in the UK. You will not
Mm.
see these professionals like my professors on Facebook and Instagram, but you'll find them on LinkedIn and Twitter.
On
So it's
Twitter.
okay for you to have your LinkedIn just on your professional activities. You attend a conference in school, you develop a platform, you accomplish these goals. It's okay to go there. And on Facebook, while you post this professional aspect of you, it's okay for you to post a meme on Facebook and we'll all relate. And yes, but not that you have this on your professional platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. Yes.
Yep. In essence, so what he's trying to say, in essence, is it's okay to use social media for what you want to use it for, but
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
understand which of the social media platforms.
Yes. Yes. True. I mean, professional jokes too can go on LinkedIn. I see a lot of
Yeah.
that recently. And yes, so it's just knowing what kind of content can go on which platform. And just like I said, Facebook is like universal, and Instagram, you can post your awards, you can post your, I mean, your achievements, and at the same time, you can post a meme, you can post a joke, and this is still fine. Yeah.
Talk to me about the day you realized you were choosing for Chevening. Walk me down that day and how that news hit you. And what was your reaction?
Yes, yes. No, no, I was really in for this. In fact, the previous year I'd got to the interview but was not selected. So I think
Mm.
the following year I did a lot of works, wrote my essays, new schools and all of that. I mean, achieving scholarship is vigorous process, and it spans through assessing your essays. I mean, there are so many stages to interviews, and then you have to submit unconditional offer. You need to have acceptance from your school. And in June, because we have interviews in February, March, and then in June, final results. So I remember that fateful day because this was in 2022. I was asleep and somebody sent me a message that results were out. And I mean, when I just opened my phone, the pop-up, you at least have a preview of the email, and I
Mm-hmm.
just saw we are delighted to inform you that you have been selected. So yes, that was the moment, and I knew that I've gotten a fully funded scholarship to the UK. So that moment for me was everything because I believe that my dreams came true. I had to call my parents, call my mentors, and I mean I was really happy, really happy.
To anyone who looks at you and goes, I want to get into chevening like Felix, what do you think they should prepare in their minds if they're looking to get into chevening?
Chevening is for leaders, so it's all about communicating yourself. In fact, you need to have the desire of an aspiring leader. For the applications, there are 4 essays you have to write on leadership. For example, you demonstrate your how you have leveraged your leadership skills to solving problems in the society. So for me back then, I mean, with the results from the GC, I'm noticing that students face difficulties to find exam resources and implementing a solution. With the startup I was doing, the project, so I was able to demonstrate, for example, that I'm a leader or I'm aspiring leader. This is the first question. And the second question, you have to talk about networking. For example, how you have been able to create networks that help you solve a particular problem. And I go
Mm-hmm.
back to my example of the Cameroon GC Guide app, the ability for me to network with teachers, network with people from the academic background to get resources for my app, to get the right networks to communicate my app, and how this networking led me to accomplishing a goal, which was a platform. So this is how you have to write your networking essay. And the third essay is your study in the UK. For example, I've chosen University of Cambridge, University of Oxford. I want to study cybersecurity at the University of Westminster. And you say why you choose this school. This school is number one in the UK. This school has the best lecturers in IT, seasoned lecturers. You want to come to London because you want to visit Arsenal aside from school, you see. And the last essay is your career plan. You have to tell them
Mm.
that, okay, after this scholarship, I want to come back to Africa. I've noticed that there are no, I mean, if for public health, there are no sufficient doctors. I mean, doctors in Cameroon, they lack particular skills, and you want to come back as a doctor following your Chevening scholarship to be able to develop the medical world in Cameroon. So career plan is just giving your career aspirations, and that's it. And usually in February or March, February, yeah, they do the shortlist for the interviews, and candidates are invited to the embassy. And if you are good in June, you definitely get a good news.
In your resume, we have a lot to talk about you when it comes to helping people to either recover their accounts, to fight against the bad men that try to take us into our devices. What does that process look like for you? I mean, I know that it's more complicated for you to explain for a layman to understand. But Felix, I have a problem. I've been hacked, or that. What's the first thing you say to them?
Yes, no, I try to, I mean, make them know that it's possible to have their devices recovered. And I always propose immediate measures. For example, it could be changing your passport. It could be, I mean, proposing security measures, which I feel at that moment should help the situation. I usually advise people or inform them that no, it's possible that you were hacked, yes, but it's possible that
Mm.
we can recover your stuff. And after this assurance, I will get information about how it actually happened and how I can be of help. I mean, usually some of these processes are enormous. I mean, so many techniques, I mean, skills to put in place, and usually a long process. But I mean, based on my skills and experience, I'm always happy, or I see myself succeeding in these scenarios and situations. It requires a lot of skills
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of patience too, because usually some of these accounts have been taken over, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to be patient. You have to have the skills and to follow the recovery processes.
Let's niche it down to a Facebook page. one of the most popular you worked on was Ade Divine, which everybody talked about a couple of weeks back. And I know you might not be able to share all the
Yeah.
private details of it, but what did it look like for you working on that account? First off, when it gets
Um,
hacked, what
yeah.
was the first thing you
In
realized?
fact, the first day that happened, I really wanted to work with Ade Divine, yes. And so
Mm,
for me, I was familiar with such scams because usually it's common because the hack happens from one of the admins. I mean, if I'm admin to your page and then my account is taken down, automatically they have access to your page, and then you as the other admins or the other admins are
can be
taken out,
kicked out.
and then
Mhm.
just now the guy. So I totally understood that, and when I was contacted, I had to like draft down some strategies in which we have to regain his account. And just like I said, it was an enormous process. I mean, it took close to a month because at
Mm.
some point we were in contact with Facebook. At some point, it was me with my skills and trying to regain access to his accounts. And yeah, that was how we were successful. And this is just one of the cases which I've handled for so many other organizations and securing pages and accounts online. Mhm.
Mm. Where was he hacked from? The guy who got access kept going live, and we saw multiple live sessions where he wasn't talking,
Yes,
wasn't saying anything,
yes.
and kept going live. Where was he hacked from, and why do they do that? Going live on the pages when?
Yeah, so just like I said, it's just like you have on your page, for example, you have five admins,
Mhm.
and somebody comes, I'm one of your admins, and then somebody comes and then hacks my account, Felix Omengia, I'm your admin. So
Mm.
automatically the person who has access to my account, maybe in India or in Pakistan, he has the ability to, I mean, get rid of all the admins and now becomes the only admin on the page. So his personal accounts was intact, or your personal accounts are intact, but
Mhm.
just the person that was targeted and then he was taken off. His account was hacked, and then through that account now, all the other profiles are taken out of the page. So this is what actually happens. Now the person has access to your page. He can change the page name. He can add details. He can go live. I mean, it seems that this is now the owner of the page, and so the guy had the liberty to go live on the page and all of that because he has access to the page, and all the other admins are have been kicked out.
When he keeps going live, is that because he's trying to increase the views for monetization, or what's the
Yes, I
dynamics?
think somehow he was trying to get the page monetized and also to claim ownership of a page, because I mean, if this should be reviewed by Facebook, I mean,
Mm.
if I should take
Multiple
over your
images.
if I should take over your page, even though the name is still RAB, but all the live videos is me. I mean, somehow it shows that I'm entitled to that page. So I understand that this was what he was trying to do to actually
Mm.
slowly claim ownership of that page. Yeah,
Mm.
people were surprised because sometimes
Mm.
hackers are. I mean, they hide behind, but the guy was courageous to go live on. Yeah, so it was really a difficult
Were
situation.
you able to find out the location from which he was doing that?
Yes, I think it was
Actually, it was one of these
Pakistan. Yes,
Christian, yes,
yes. I think it was Pakistan. We could see address for which
admin.
the person was. Yes, yes. I think it was Pakistan or so. Yeah.
Mm. To someone who is managing their page right now and they don't want to fall into, I mean, I was so when that happened, I wrote to Divine,
Yeah.
and I think that with the way he handled it, even that was so graceful. First, he was able to communicate, hey, here's what's happening, don't interact with my page. And then even he was really calm in the process before, I think about 1 or 2 days later, he decides to create a backup page, which actually for me, I felt like really proved was a testament of his work, because
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
shortly after
Yeah.
creating it, he
Yeah.
already had thousands of people.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. But let's talk about someone who is watching this right now and they go, I have this page I've been building. I've been toiling hard to build it day and night. I'm posting regularly. I'm trying to get it up. Maybe it's monetized. What do I have to do to make sure that this is secured, that the bad guys don't come in and get access to it?
Yes. So I think your admins, they have to have two-factor authentication and secure passwords. I mean, today, so many people, their passwords are, I mean, easy to guess. For example, your name is Array, and then your password is Array 2022. No,
Mm,
you need to have complex password. So, in case maybe I see your password on a booklet, or for example, you put in your password in a station, and then somebody has his eyes on your phones, it will be difficult for them to recall your password. And usually, longer passwords and then special characters like Adiawo, hash, star, and full stop. These are characters which you can add to your password, and you ensure that you have two-factor authentication on. It's very important, meaning that even someone should have access to my password. Like I can give you my password now, but I'm rest assured that you will not be able to access my account. This is very, very important to secure accounts. And usually, if you need to verify your accounts, I mean, there are some services even Facebook is implementing now that if you don't have certain policies in place like stronger passwords, two-factor authentication, you won't be able to have access to that. Because I mean, if someone has access to my account because they saw my password somewhere or my password was able to guess, they will definitely have access to my account. And if you're a notable person and you are trying to verify your page, for example, Facebook will insist that you have stronger passwords and you have
mhm.
two-factor authentication. Because I mean, imagine someone has access to the account of maybe say Samuel Office. I mean, so they have to ensure that before verifying that page or making sure that page is authentic, for example, as a notable person, you have to ensure that you follow their strict security policies, which is complex passwords and two-factor authentication.
If I wake up one day and realize that I'm hacked, what should be my first action to make sure that I'm not ruining everything?
First thing you have to do is you have to change your passwords. If you notice you are being hacked on Gmail, because when you change your passwords, ASAP it locks out the other party, and usually it becomes complex when the other person or the other party goes ahead to change your password. And then with such cases now we have to force to see how we recover your password, regaining access to the account before implementing other strict policies. So the first thing you notice you are hacked or someone is using your account, you have to change your password. And by doing this, they automatically locks out the other party and you have access to your account. And for Facebook, you can check, for example, you can check where your devices is being logged into. For
Yeah,
example,
I
from
logged
the
out all the
UK, you can see maybe someone logged in from Pakistan,
and
someone
the
logged in
device
from
name.
Nigeria, and you are able to take out that account.
Mhm.
Yes, and then you can go further to add your two-factor authentication and other security aspects.
What if it's a case where you've been hacked, just like you said in the case of Ade Divine, his personal account was not touched because obviously they
Yes,
got access to
yes,
his
through
page
admin.
through a
Yeah,
different admin.
yeah.
What should in that case I can't be changing password for my own
Yeah.
account here. So what should I do in that case?
Yes. So in that case, if you notice that one of your admins have been hacked, you
Compromised.
have
Yeah.
to be you have to be fast to take out that admin, because in this
Mm.
case, for example, before he could take out that person, he was already taken out. So you once I notice that you are hacked, that's why I mean I work with so many organizations. For example, if Mr. A is hacked, he comes to the WhatsApp and says, I'm hacked, take me off from the pages or from the office page. You see, so that way, once his account is taken off, even if he regains his account, or he can create a new account and then it's added to the office Facebook page. But at that moment, you have to take him out, because once I mean I'm admin and I can come behind of you and remove all of your admins, and I have access to the page. And usually in some cases it can be slow that these persons are not able to change your Facebook name, a page name instantly, but some it can be changed just like a profile photo, cover photo, and then the page is totally gone. But still at this stage, you are able to still recover your page with the right skills and procedures.
Mm. Is there ever any place where the thought might be to, when I give people access to my page, I won't make them admins so they can't kick me out. So
Yes,
therefore, I'll
yes,
probably just
yes,
make
that
them.
is perfect, because even if you have access to my page as an editor, you can post. I mean, my page is hacked because you have access, but you cannot overthrow me as admin on the page. You can go online, maybe post a hoax, or you go online and then but mess with the page, but I'm still admin. And when I
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, I
Can
can
kick you
kick you
anytime.
out. Yeah, so it's always good, and that is why we have restrictions, permission controls, and access controls for such accounts, because you have to limit. If someone just has, I mean, you should have people who are just your assistant or community manager, like most bloggers we have, or people who are just there to reply comments. So if my work on your page is just to reply comments and interact with your community, I should not have admin access to your page, because if I'm hacked tomorrow, the person will take advantage of that admin access to have access to the page
Mm.
or unauthorized information.
Are there any cybersecurity tools you're going to recommend for those who can afford? And I know that sometimes it's not everybody needs to invest into that. If you're just trying to just live your normal social media life, of course, can't advise you to start jumping into subscribing to softwares for cybersecurity. But on a general note, are there any softwares that could be recommendable, or do you just have to be careful after you turn on your authentication? You make sure that you are out of the spammy links, which we have to talk about that as well.
Yeah,
The
so
spammy
there are
links.
so many platforms which I mean, I know of platforms like One Password. I mean, there are
Mhm.
platforms that help
I use
you.
one
For
password.
example, if your password is leaked, they will alert you that you have to change your password for Facebook. And usually these platforms, for example, is secure. So it collects all your passwords, maybe for LinkedIn, for Google. And then
Mhm.
if they see that your password for LinkedIn is similar to that of Facebook, it advises you to change your password. It's a smart system.
Mhm.
And once your password for LinkedIn is compromised, for example, it gives you an alert. So, and usually I recommend that you have different passwords for all accounts, because sometimes I use there are tools which I use to generate my password, and then it generates complex. I mean, sometimes it's a line, so you have characters, uppercase, lowercase, and so many complex characters. So it's okay for you to have separate of these passwords for different accounts. Like Google is different, Facebook is different, and that way it's difficult for somebody to have your Gmail password, for example, and then tries by lock on Facebook and it has access to your Facebook. And just like I said, there are so many tools that can manage your password. For example, if there's a breach, it can help you recommend a better password or alert you that you have a breach on your Facebook password.
For someone like me who has worked solely online for at least the last 7 years, you can imagine how many passwords I have right now in
Yeah,
my life,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I have to almost, I don't know, almost, I don't know, every week at least, if something goes by without me signing up to a new software, to a new platform, to a new thing, I have hundreds of these passwords right now. As a cybersecurity expert, where would you advise me to store my passwords? Create a Google Doc, dump them in, which is not very safe. Write them on
yeah,
a book, which is analog way of dealing with
yeah.
passwords. What's the other way? Put them in a notepad on your phone, which is not very safe because if you lose the phone, you're also there's like you're giving your life away to
Yeah.
somebody. What's the best way to save
I think
passwords?
for me, the first what I do practically is, for example, I use Firefox as my default browser,
Okay.
and basically it saves your password. For example, if I'm browsing on Facebook, it saves my password. In fact,
Mhm.
when I enter a new system where I need to put my password, it prompts me if I need to have this password saved. And
Independent.
primarily on Firefox, I have an account which
Okay.
actually saves my browsing history and everything.
Mhm.
So it keeps track of all of the passwords that I'll enter on my machine. And it's just like you coming on my machine and you want to access your Google, it prompts you, do you want to save this password associated with the username and the password for Google, for example, which is you.
Mhm.
Now, tomorrow I come now, I want to access maybe my account, let's say felix@gmail.com, or maybe Felix 2005, based
You
on the
remember me?
email. it records the password, and it's secure because you can actually see when, for example, you change your password today, it keeps track record of when your password was lastly changed if there's a breach. Yes, this is one way which I use to actually keep track of my passwords and to have an overview of everything which I manage on my browser.
Mm.
And secondly, just like I said, you can use tools like one password that keeps track. It's a, so I think, but that should be paid. I think so. It
Yeah,
keeps track of your password. If there's a breach on your Gmail account, it tells you that okay, your password
to
was
change it
leaked.
has been
Yes, you need
compromised.
to
Yeah.
change it. If you use a weaker password, it tells you no, this password is easy to guess, add special characters, and you can also generate passwords from there. So I think that these are basic ways in which while browsing, same for Chrome, same for Firefox, you can keep track of your browsing data and your passwords, which will be saved to your devices. This is the best way because, I mean, than going to your cupboard and then writing your passwords, which, I mean, someone can have access to this
Mm.
one day. It's important that you use secure platforms like a secure browser where all your browsing data is actually synchronized to the system.
If someone was looking at you now and they go, Felix, I like what you've done. I like the career path you've had, and I like to emulate that journey. What should be a starting point to getting into tech?
To start small, you have to start somewhere. I mean, even the big names, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, I mean, they started somewhere. And just like I said, my journey back then started at University of Boyan. You have to start somewhere, go into the course, be it online, be it, I mean, you just have to start. And I bet you are going to fail so many times, but you have to pick yourself up. I tell people that when you fail, you didn't just fail, you learned something new, and you have to come back with a better experience, a better way of doing that thing, a better idea, better innovations, and you definitely see yourself succeeding.
Mm. Would you advise them to start up with a course? Would you advise them to start up, or what should be a good?
Yes, so for students in the university, for example, it's okay for you to, I mean, there are so many resources on YouTube, how to develop a logo, I mean, from a tech perspective, how to design an app, I mean, calculator app tutorial. There are so many resources on YouTube, so you just have to go on these platforms with your data and you should be able to learn. And also there are platforms like Coursera, Udemy. Now you can learn free courses, introduction to Android development, introduction to graphic designs. I mean, these are skills which you can actually learn even if you are into, just like you, journalism in University of Boya, but you can learn how to design graphics, you can learn how to publish articles, you can learn how to publish, start up a WordPress site for your blog, for your career. And
Mm.
yes, all of this, even if not taught in school, you can actually learn this on your own.
Absolutely. So when I just a 10-second story. So when I actually got into all these things, maybe blogging and the rest, when I started blogging, I realized that people will go, "Oh, Ari, you're so good at blogging. Do you want to come and train our team on how to use our own WordPress website?" I go, "Yeah,
Yeah,
okay." I go in, I train them. It goes very well. They go, "Ari, there's this event coming around social media. I thought there's no better person to speak about social media than you." Oh, okay. I go and talk, and it comes
yeah,
out very
yeah,
well. And they'll go, "Hey, Ari, do you want to consult us around social media? Do you want to look at our platforms, look at what we're doing and recommend?" I go, "Okay, I take gigs." And then it became that I started to advertise some of these platforms on my blogging
on your
website.
platforms, yeah,
Yeah, because I'll go, "Hey, we are getting 30 to 50,000 readers every month. We wrote down a PDF and we go, do you want to advertise on our platform?" And that's exactly how I made my first million. But here's the twist of the story. Later on, when blogging wasn't that lucrative for me,
yeah,
then things started to drizzle away. Most of these skills that I learned, just to get back to what you were saying, I drifted into creating a marketing agency, which is what I actually do right now. And fast forward to right now, I help businesses with Facebook ads, Instagram ads, building
yeah.
sales funnels, email marketing. And I think that's been the thing I've done for the last 5 years or so, and growing into that. And
Yeah.
then I went and learned how to build websites myself. So I actually
Oh,
built my rebate.com.
yeah,
I built it
yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Build, I don't know, build more than 20 plus
yeah,
websites. And
yeah.
then sometimes these clients come for marketing, but they need websites. Guess who builds them? Double charge. I go, hey, I'll build your website. I
Yeah.
have a really big
Do the
hosting plan.
marketing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a hosting plan. I'll use
Yeah.
SiteGround, hosting, whatever, Namecheap. I connect all of the
Yeah.
stuff. I build the website. And then I
Yeah.
finish, I go, okay, now we build your website. Do you want us to start off with the marketing double zeros? So just
Perfect.
to add
Yeah.
to what you're saying, no skill is ever useless for those who are out there. Sometimes you might ask yourself, what does studying law has to do with
Yeah. Yeah.
accountancy, or what does
Yeah.
it have to
Yeah.
do with graphic designs? I promise you, it's going to connect the dots somewhere in future,
Yeah.
and that's very important. So, Felix, the last question we always ask everybody on the podcast is: when all is said and done, how do you want to be remembered as Felix Fomenye?
I mean, it's just based on my impact. I mean, my impact. I want to be known as somebody who was able to use technology to impact his community. Yes, that is Felix Omenge and the legacy I want to leave behind. I believe that I still have a lot to achieve, and yes, to continue to inspire young people who are passionate about technology.
Mm. What's next for you moving forward?
Yes, I think it's just moving into the field. I mean, information security, developing solutions, websites. I mean, just developing IT solutions for individuals, organizations.
Thank you very much, Felix. I do appreciate your time. And I want to thank you for all the so much experience that you've shared today. And I think that a lot of people are going to find this helpful. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
If you just enjoyed this episode, the chances are that you're going to enjoy other amazing episodes that we've recorded, so you can check that out somewhere around this video. Before you go, please make sure you check our 3 boxes. First things first, please make sure to hit the subscribe or the follow button down below, because the more we grow, the bigger guests we can approach on this platform and the more value we can bring to you here on the podcast. Second, a lot of friends always reach out to me and say something like, hey Harry, I really did enjoy this particular segment of this episode. Pick up your phone and send this to a friend and say, hey, check this out between 10 to 15 minutes. There's something very important I'd love you to see. Number 3, please make sure to check out the links in the description for very helpful resources. You're going to find the link to join the Smart Club, which is my private mentorship club for friends who want to learn and master a high-income digital marketing skill. Whether your goal is to build your personal brand, become a freelancer, or get a job in digital marketing, the Smart Club is going to be the right place for you. So before you go, please make sure to tick those 3 boxes. Like I always say, my friends, cheers to many more years of shamelessly living and crazily excelling in passion and purpose. And I'll speak to you in the next episode. If you just enjoyed this episode, the chances are that you're going to enjoy other amazing episodes that we've recorded, so you can check that out somewhere around this video. Before you go, please make sure you check our 3 boxes. First things first, please make sure to hit the subscribe or the follow button down below, because the more we grow, the bigger guests we can approach on this platform and the more value we can bring to you here on the podcast. Second, a lot of friends always reach out to me and say something like, hey Harry, I really did enjoy this particular segment of this episode. Pick up your phone and send this to a friend and say, hey, check this out between 10 to 15 minutes. There's something very important I'd love you to see. Number 3, please make sure to check out the links in the description for very helpful resources. So before you go, please make sure to tick those 3 boxes. Like I always say, my friends, cheers to many more years of shamelessly living and crazily excelling in passion and purpose. And I'll speak to you in the next episode.
Dear A-Ray-B.